Good evening. I would like to call to order the Keizer City Council in regular session. It is Monday, September 18th, 2023, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Here.
Councillor Hussman.
Here.
Councillor Kohler.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Council President Starr. Here. Councillor Duran.
Here.
Councillor Cross.
Councillor Cross is excused this evening, and youth councillor?
I'm great and Woodard here.
All right. Thank you very much. If you are able, I invite you to rise and invite all to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Thank you for your patience as we had a work session prior to our regular session as we were going through the next stages of our strategic planning. Those of you who came at 7 o'clock and didn't get the memo, you got to hear a half hour of the conversation around the strategic plan, which is going to be a first for the city of Keizer and is really going to be helpful for us to continue to build on delivering services to our community. With that, I would like to go to this evening's special orders of business and begin with our Constitution Week. And with us tonight, we have from the Daughters of the American Revolution, Ruby Pantalone. And do you have someone with you as well?
Yes, Kathy Alden.
And Kathy Alden. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to read the proclamation and invite you both up to talk to us about Constitution Week and the DAR. So with that, whereas the Constitution of the United States of America embodies the foundational principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law, and whereas September 17th, 2023 marks the 236th anniversary of the Constitutional Convention in 1787, at which the Constitution of the United States was written, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document upon its anniversary, and to read it to remember how our government was established and the freedoms it guaranteed. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through September 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Kathy Clark, Mayor of the City of Keizer, together with the Keizer City Council assembled in regular session, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through September 23rd, 2023 as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals, the framers of the Constitution, by being vigilant in protecting our liberty. So I will present a copy of this to you. Please come on up and talk to us about Constitution Week. And thank you for bringing this to us once again. Just have a seat.
Thank you for inviting us.
You bet.
Hello.
Hello.
So I kind of wanted to tell you a little bit about the GAR. It's the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. Was founded on October 11th, 1890, during a time that was marked by revival and patriotism and intense interest in the beginnings of the United States of America. Women felt the desire to express their patriotic feelings and were frustrated by their exclusion from the men's organizations that were formed to perpetuate the memory of the ancestors who fought and to make our country free and independent. As a result of the group of pioneering women in the nation's capital formed their own organization, and the Daughters of the American Revolution has carried the torch of patriotism ever since. We are from the Anna Maria Pittman chapter in Keizer, and we started our chapter on December 3rd, 1985. And we have projects that we work on. In the project this fall, or in the fall of 2022, we donated chairs and tables to the children's section of the Dallas Library. Our plans for the 2023 project is donating coloring books about the American Revolution to elementary students in Keizer. And they will also get crayons. Members of the National DAR just made 300 quilts for the students at Chimama Indian School. These students will be able to take them to their homes with, when they leave the school. The National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution gives out several scholarships each year. They vary in the amount you would receive and how you would qualify. Each year, we celebrate the signing of the Constitution from September 17th to 23rd. And actually, we believe that anyone or everyone should live by the Constitution. So when you vote for your council, mayor, senators, representative, and president, be sure they are going by the U.S. Constitution.
Well, thank you very much. My grandmother was a proud member of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Learned a little bit about that from her when I was a child. Thank you so much for your work, and I would like to make this presentation at this time for Constitution Week. This is nice. So why don't you two hold that? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I will take it. Getting fired this week.
You have a substitute this week. Our usual council photographer is laid up, so there you go. Thank you, Mr. Brown. All right, what I'd like to do now is a second proclamation for the month of September. And this is for Hispanic Heritage Month. And then we have two members of our Community Diversity Engagement Committee, Carrie Dodd Brown and Thais Rodick, who will come and talk about the Hispanic Heritage Month. I will first read the proclamation and invite them up to the table here to visit with us. The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the theme for the 2023 Hispanic Heritage Month observance, as announced by the National Council of Hispanic Employment Program Managers, is Todos somos uno. We are all, we are one. And whereas the theme reinforces the diversity inherent within the Hispanic community, as well as the power that comes from being a united community. And whereas Jennifer Lasco, the Human Resources Specialist and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Accessibility Advisor at the Bureau of Fiscal Service, U.S. Department of the Treasury, submitted the winning theme and stated, I thought of this theme in retrospect to how we are in the Hispanic community represent so many different things, many cultures, many skin colors, many points of view, and yet we are as one community, one people, one vision. We are the #1 global ethnicity that represents so many different countries with a vast array of histories and experiences. We come together to not only cherish what commonalities and differences we share, we also strengthen each other in a united vision in partnership to elevate each other and our nation. And whereas each year Americans observe National Hispanic Heritage Month by celebrating the contributions and importance of Hispanics and Latinos to the United States, and those community members whose ancestors came from Spain and Mexico, and nations in the Caribbean, Central America, and South America. And whereas we, the people of the city of Keizer, recognize and celebrate the contributions and achievements of our Hispanic and Latino community members to our city and region, and we dedicate ourselves to working together to address the challenges that still face Hispanic Oregonians in equity and access to the prosperity of Oregon. Now, therefore, I, Kathy Clark, Mayor of the City of Keizer, together with the Keizer City Council assembled in regular session, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2023 as Hispanic Heritage Month and encourage all the people of Keizer to join in observation and celebration. With that, I would like to bring down Carrie and Tice to share with us.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Caridad Lee Brown. I go by Carrie, and many of you here know me by that name. I was here in May, and I gave a small presentation about Asian and Pacific Americans for Asian and Pacific American Month. And so you're probably wondering, why is it that I am here today talking about the Hispanic Heritage Month? Well, if you did not know me and I was walking down the street, you probably would never guess that I was Cuban. So anyway, I'm supposed to talk fast. So I'm gonna give you a few dates that will explain how I ended up here. So back in May, I shared with you guys that in the United States, there was such a thing that Congress passed, and the date was 1882, and it was called it was the first Chinese Exclusion Act that lasted for 10 years. After 10 years, Congress passed a permanent Chinese Exclusion Act, and that wasn't repealed until 1943. So as a result of the Chinese Exclusion Act, many of the Chinese, because in this case, I'm gonna refer about my cultural heritage and my history. So during that time, most of the Chinese migrated to Canada, the Caribbean, Central America, and South America. And so that's where my parents ended up, was in Cuba. So I was born there. And guess what happened in 1959? The Cuban Revolution started in Cuba. And I remember I was a kid, and I remember that my parents kept me inside and told me I could not leave the house, and that was January 1st, 1959. After that, my parents took me out of school. So I did not go to school for about a year. I stayed home, and my parents signed me up to take sewing lessons and shorthand and this and that. And so around 1960, there was a priest in Florida who, along with Eisenhower, they created something called the Peter Pan flights. And I don't know if any of you guys know this history, but if not, then this is my opportunity to educate this community, because there are not that many Cuban Americans in Oregon. Okay, so I was part of that Peter Pan flight. 14,000 kids came over on the Peter Pan flights, and we were unaccompanied minors between the ages of 6 and 18. In October of 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis happened. And at that time, all the flights were canceled between Cuba and the United States. As a result, my parents were stuck down there, and they could not come to meet me. So I was a Cuban refugee, and so my story is not much different than all the little kids who have come over here unaccompanied, because parents were afraid of what would happen to them, and that's what happened to me. I had no idea why my parents sent me out by myself, put me on a plane. But back then, there was a fear among parents that the Castro Revolution was gonna send kids into the countryside and get re-educated, brainwashed with communist propaganda. And there was a lot of fear that these kids would the girls especially would be sexually assaulted, and that's the reason why my parents kept me out of school, because the rumor was that the government was going to go to the schools and take the kids from schools and send them to the countryside. So anyway, that's how I ended up in this country. I came by myself. My parents did not join me until it was 4 years. So I grew up pretty much without real parental supervision. I lived in an orphanage for about 3 years. The first year I was with a family, and then when they came over, then we were reunited because then there was such a thing called the freedom flights. Most of the Cuban population is in Florida. Miami, Florida is the hub. And then many of them are in New York, New Jersey, and where I lived was in Michigan. There was a big population of Cuban Americans there. So there has been many waves of Cubans that have come over to this country depending on what's happening in Cuba. So whenever there's like a period of time when there's poverty, there's a huge number of Cubans that would try and come over to the United States. Back in 1980, there was Fidel Castro decided that Cuba was just in dire economic straits, and he wanted to get rid of people. So he called up, made people leave Cuba. They said, hey, if you guys want to leave, you can leave. And so he let out, I don't know if you know about this, but he let out people from prison, from mental institutions, and he said, if you want to leave, leave, because I don't want you here. He just wanted to get rid of people. So about 250,000 people came on the Mariel boats, and that group of Cubans were less educated, and there were more of the brown people, whereas earlier in the Castro years, it was mostly the wealthy and well-educated people. So this group of people are called the Marielitos. In recent year, and this is now the future, the present, since the COVID, Cuba went through another economic downturn. And there were also protests in July of 2021. And many people during that protest, and many of them were young people, were imprisoned. And so because of the economic downturn and the repression that happened, which is got worse after this new precedent was instituted, then we have another wave of Cuban Americans that have entered this country. If you have read the news, that's the reason why all these Cubans are now trying to leave Cuba. They go to South America, they come across the Panama, through Central America, and they try to cross the border along with many other Central American people. So anyway, that's a little bit of the history of how the Cuban Americans have arrived in this country and the reasons why. You know, it's still happening. It's been 60 years since Castro took over the island, and the island is only 90 miles away. There's just a lot of history between the two countries. And I could tell you a bunch more, but I'm told that I had to cut it short. But anyway, I eventually arrived here in Oregon, and I've been here for a long time. If you are interested in learning a little bit more about the Cuban culture, in town, there is a new little restaurant across from the riverfront. It's called, I think it's Cuban Cafe. It's a real small place, but it's here in town. They have empanadas, and they have, a few other things. So, huh?
Cubano sandwiches?
Yeah, Cubano sandwiches, a plato de ropa vieja. So you can taste a little bit of Cuban food. It's way different than Mexican food, you know. I love both, but it's different. We also have Cubanissimo Vineyards. So if you like wine, it's over there on West Salem. It is owned by a neurosurgeon by the name of Mauricio Collada. And he's had this winery for a long time. If you want to venture out to Portland, there is the restaurant called Pambiche, and there's another one called Cuba de Cuba, something like that. Anyway, so there's opportunities for you to learn about a little bit more about a different Hispanic culture. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. My name is Thais Rodick. It's going to be a hard one to follow, going after Carrie, but I'm from Brazil originally. I've been here in Keizer for about 17 years. I was also seeking opportunity. It's just what made me come to the United States. I got a full ride to go to school at University of Kansas, so no student debt, but very fortunate for that. Some of the facts to share with you about the Hispanic community in the United States: $2.1 trillion in buying power. And Tim knows this. Tim knows I love the American Community Survey because I've grilled him a couple times on it. 19% of the US population, according to the latest survey. 35% of us identify as 2 or more races, which is up 629% since the 2010 census. 58% are 34 years of age or younger. In Keizer, we're 22.8% of the city population, with 11.2% of us speaking Spanish. We share many commonalities, but we're very different, as you can see, just by our 2 examples. But we're also very unique in our preferences, beliefs, lived experiences, and we want to be recognized for our full selves. One thing that has been constant and will be constant through the foreseeable future: we are a thriving part of the Keizer community. We're small business owners, large business owners. We're professionals. We're concerned parents and caregivers who care deeply for our family. We want to be appreciated for who we are and feel like we belong in the Keizer community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate both of you coming and sharing your story, and for also being members of the Community Diversity Engagement Committee, and just committed members of our community. Thank you so much. I would like to come and present this proclamation to you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So for folks who have looked at the agenda, they see that there's an item C, 4C, which is a special employee recognition. And it should come as no surprise that tonight we'll be recognizing the achievement and the amazing career of our police chief, John Teague. It has truly been a pleasure to work with you and to see how you have been able to bring problem-oriented policing to a whole new level in Keizer, build a strong team, to be very present in the community, and to bring both thoughtful and data-based work, but also emotional intelligence through the recruits that you've brought into our police force, and made Keizer an employer of choice in policing, especially in a time when some people have doubts about police work as a career. You've helped with Grow Your Own through encouraging our cadet program, our reserves, which are robust, and you have created a legacy, I believe, that is going to serve us well moving into the future with our new police chief, if anybody who hasn't heard yet, will be someone that has worked with you for a long time and served our community, and that is Andrew Copeland. Chief Teague, it's been a pleasure. We wish you all the best in, I know it's going to be retire, means tired doing what you have chosen to do going forward. We want to thank you for your service to Keizer and our community. Ladies and gentlemen, Police Chief John Teague. The plaque reads as follows: Keizer, for John Teague, Keizer Police Chief, in grateful appreciation for your distinguished service, presented to you by the City of Keizer and our community.
That's a keeper. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor.
Chief,
make
I'd
a
like to
comment?
give you a few moments for comments.
Sure, I'll make it quick. I'm reminded of those peculiar-looking aircraft carriers with the ramp at the end. You've seen them, right? And we've had a good long run for 10 years, but that ramp at the end of this aircraft carrier is Andrew Copeland. He's going to take this police department to a new level and service to this city to a new level, and you've got a good choice in him, and we can all be very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we will be doing a ceremonial swearing in for incoming Chief Copeland on October 2nd. Is that correct? So please be here for that evening as well. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you, Chief. All right, let's go to committee reports. Is there anyone here to do a report on city committee? I don't have anybody signed up, or neighborhood association. Okay, we will go on to public comment. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We have no public hearing scheduled for this evening. I don't have anybody signed up. Is there anyone who would like to address the council this evening? Guy, you're an easy crowd. All right, well, let's go on then to administrative action. The first item is ordinance, item 8A, regulating parades, special events, and temporary closure of streets for block parties, repeal of ordinance number 90-178 and ordinance number 2000-419. Mr. Brown? Or does this go to Mr. Johnson?
We're tag team this from,
Okay.
for a while now. So I think my name's on the staff report, so
It is.
I'll present it and we'll answer questions as appropriate. But you approved this at the first reading on September 5th, and because it was not a unanimous vote, it requires a second reading. And it was approved, and no changes were made since the approval on September 5th. I don't know that I'll expound anymore. We've had a lot of discussions over this, a lot of meetings over it. So this is a second reading. It's unchanged from the last time.
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from council? Council President Starr?
I move that the council adopt ordinance 2023 regulating parades, special events, and temporary closure of streets for block parties, and repeal of ordinance number 90-178 and ordinance number 2000-419 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt ordinance number 2023 regulating parades, special events, and temporary closure of streets for block parties, repeal of ordinance number 90-178 and ordinance number 2000-419 on second reading. Discussion? Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of things I'd like to clarify. One is that that will have no effect on the the current application for the Miracle of Christmas light display in Gubster neighborhood this year?
I believe that has to do with the, when it goes into effect, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, and Mr. Brown can speak to this, but I believe we have an application in or might be coming in. So at whatever time the application comes in, it'll be under the current ordinance. It would not affect this. After the effective date, any application received after that would be subject to the new ordinance.
Thank you.
And it is a 30-day effective date. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Reed, did you have something? Okay. Anything further?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Councilor Kohler, follow up?
Thank you. In section 7, on number 3, it says prior to submitting the application, have to conduct a public engagement survey. Does that need to happen every year for an event, or is that just the first time that that happens?
I believe there's a clause in there for repeated events that they do still have to show that they've got, they've done outreach. And I think that's at the bottom of that section.
So
I don't
1,
have it
2,
in front of
3,
me.
4 are not required, but that's,
And that's number 3.
okay, so every year that doesn't have to happen.
That was for new
Okay.
events.
And then in 8.2, it talks about seriously inconveniencing the general public. Is there anything that somebody can do in a block party or a parade that doesn't seriously inconvenience the general public?
Probably not. We want to keep peace as much as possible. Thank you.
And I don't know that I've kind of read through this a couple of times, but I've been kind of not all with it this week. Some questions about existing barricades and cones. They're saying we need to buy, whoever has those will need to buy those from the city, or any additional ones would need to be purchased from the city.
Give me a line on that.
Section 12, line 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 9.
Let me scroll there. Section 12, because I understood it that it was going to be anything that we had to provide, but. Okay, section.
Because both the parades that the chamber does and the Miracle of Lights have had, Miracle of Christmas light display have had their own barricades and things for quite a while. Some of them the city provided, some of the signage the city provided, and sometimes the city employees have put those up for them. Does that mean that in the future, if the city puts those up, then they're going to get charged for those being put up?
They could, but if they ask for city sponsorship and that comes to city council, then we would be a sponsor via our contribution of either labor or materials for that event. For example, if somebody's holding a block party for, or some big event over a weekend, and it's a private event, and it's going to require some city facilities or staff action, it would be appropriate to charge for that and have a fee schedule. But if it's something like the Miracle of Christmas, which is a nonprofit based, we have that same foundation for making that determination as a sponsorship like we do for, which we already do for the Miracle of Christmas, the chamber and so forth, because those are
Keizer Fest
local,
or any of the other
right, and those are local nonprofits, either 501c3 or in the case of the chamber, 501c6.
Okay, thank
So
you. I
that
just
would be the
wanted to
distinction.
clarify that.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, going back to Councilor Kohler's first question, Section 8, Sub
you.
2. I think it's a pretty subjective standard, but I would focus on the word seriously. I would agree that none of these events, all of these events inconvenience the general public. I think there's a question whether they would all seriously inconvenience them, especially given the short nature of a lot of them. So I think that's what the focus would be on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything further? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no.
No.
Okay, motion passes 5 aye, no from Counselor Duran, and Counselor Cross is absent this evening. All right, that concludes that item. Let's go on then to item 8B, which is resolution adopting eligible project to be used by the city for funds received from county under intergovernmental agreement for Community Prosperity Initiative 2023-24. Mr. Wood.
Madam Mayor, City Council, At the September 5th regular meeting, the City Council directed staff to bring back a resolution at the next council meeting to allocate the Community Prosperity Initiative grant funds for the purpose of expanding the electrical capacity further into Keizer Rapids Park, specifically south of the Big Toy. This is to provide an alternate location for large-scale outdoor events, similar to Keizer Fest that we've had in the past. With that, I'm not going to belabor it anymore. You have several options. You can adopt the attached resolution. You can identify an alternate project that you'd like to utilize those grant funds for, or you can take no action. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Any questions on the staff report or the resolution? Council President Starr.
I move the City Council adopt Resolution R2023, adopting eligible project to be used by city for funds received from county under intergovernmental agreement for Community Prosperity Initiative for fiscal year 2023-2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R 2023, adopting eligible project to be used by city for funds received from county under intergovernmental agreement for Community Prosperity Initiative 2023-2024. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with one absent, that's Councilor Cross. That takes us then to the consent calendar, which has one item. Council President Starr.
Okay, the consent calendar, item A is approval of September 5th, 2023 regular session minutes.
Thank you very much. Does it need to be pulled for discussion? Council President Starr.
I move that the Keizer City Council adopt the consent calendar.
Second.
The consent calendar has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with one absent, that's Councilor Cross. That takes us then to other business. This time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. Mr. Brown, does staff have anything additional tonight?
Madam Mayor and Council, staff does not have any additional business to bring before the council.
Thank you very much. Councilors, anybody have new business or other business to bring before the body tonight? Okay, let's go to staff updates. Mr. Brown.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Chief Teague for the opportunity to work side by side with him over the last 14 months or so. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Actually, I do want to say Navy Week.
Navy Week
is next week, and it will be in our community, in our schools. The first opportunity to see him will be flying out of the sky on Tuesday between noon and 12:40. We'll have some Navy parachuters landing on McNary's football field. And then Wednesday, they'll be in McNary High School. We'll have a ceremony here at 8 a.m. with Admiral Mike Brown, who will be doing a proclamation with Mayor Clark. And then at the Volcano Stadium, 6 p.m., will be a slow pitch softball game of McNary High School baseball and softball students with Navy sailors. And then a pop concert from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. It'll be fun.
And that will be free for all community members to attend. So please plan to be here either in the morning and or especially in the evening on the 27th, after you go to the community dinner, to come out to Volcano Stadium for these events on the 27th. I would encourage people to go to the website for Navy Week and click the one for the Mid-Willamette Valley. It's up there with the activities for the entire week. Thank you. I want to thank Mr. Brown and Council President Starr for tremendous work that went into
Mr. Brown.
to help bring this about. Appreciate it. Mr. Wood.
Just again, like to thank Chief Teague. Congratulations on your retirement. You've done well.
Ms. Bissett,
Nothing tonight, thank you, Mayor.
one more time. Chief,
Yeah, my last night meeting, my last city council, just say again, thank you for 34 years from the city of Keizer and 34 years from the people of Keizer. You've served my family well. Thank you.
thank you, Chief. Mr. Lawyer,
Just thanks, John. Congratulations. I'm not too far behind you, but a little behind you. So congratulations. It's been a great time, great ride.
Ms. Witham.
Congratulations, John. I'm really far behind you. You're going to be greatly missed. You've served our community well, and you're a man of character, and I admire that. So thank you for your service to our community. I have nothing else, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. John, thanks a lot. I am very, very shortly behind you, but not quite ahead of you. It's been good working with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Let's go to council member reports and start with Councilor Duran.
Well, I'll keep it going around. Thank you, Chief, for all of the service with Keizer and everything that you've done for us and your leadership. I greatly appreciate it. Okay. So for me last week, I went to the parks tour with everybody else, and I really appreciated seeing some of the new stuff in the parks, and it's neat to see. And it's neat to see the community expressing their appreciation for it too. So that was great. And then on Tuesday, I went to a meeting the chamber had put together. It was called the Community Forum, and it was business community getting together with. Councilor Cross and I were there, and Lieutenant Copeland was there, and we were talking about what the business community can do with the homeless issue and how to work around, what issues it causes for businesses and what we can do to help the homeless community as well as the businesses deal with it. So it was just our first meeting, and we kind of got kind of an overlay or an outlook of what we're going to do in the future. And we're going to continue meeting and continue getting together with other people in the business community to make it better for all of us.
Fantastic. Thank you. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Had the opportunity to attend the 9/11 service that Keizer Fire District held again this year. So just a somber time of remembrance for our community and our nation and the devastating loss that we all experienced 22 years ago. The next night was the Greater Gubser Neighborhood Association meeting. Then we had a Miracle of Lights meeting after that. So it is going to be great once again this year. Then Thursday we had the Volunteer Coordinating Committee meeting and the Parks tour. It was fun to see the entire city council climb on the new park equipment and play at the Ben Miller Park. Remind everybody, it's flu season, so get your flu shot if you so choose. My arm is still sore, but hopefully that will prevent us from getting sick. And last but not least, Chief Teague, thank you for your wisdom and your service, and above all, your integrity in leading our police department here in Keizer. We are better for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm sure there'll be some things that I was involved in I'll forget, but I'll just get a couple. Just reminder that we had Phil Bay Day this last week, and it's great to remember such a great counselor. And maybe someday we'll have a Chief Teague Day, but not this year. I just have to tell a little story. There was a couple of years ago, there was some challenges going on with Chief Teague and some members of the city council, and he had some concerns. There were some concerns, and I said, John, I just want you to know that I got your back. And he kind of stopped and he looked at me and he said, as long as I deserve it, I'm glad that you have my back, but if I don't deserve it, it's okay. Let me have it. And I thought to myself, here's a guy that has all kinds of responsibilities on his back. He's carrying the load of the whole city and the responsibility of everything that's happening around here. And he's willing to say, if I don't deserve you watching my back, don't watch my back. And it taught me a great lesson about integrity and the kind of person that he is, and I'll always remember the work that he's done, and I'm proud to call him my friend. So thank you, John. The Parks Tour was an interesting thing. We went to Ben Miller Park, and we had some discussions about a fence along the road there. So I put a little thing on the Southeast Keizer Neighborhood Association's Facebook page, and we had a discussion about the fence and the possibility of a fence at Ben Miller. And that's something that I would like to discuss with council at some time, because there were very few people out of that group that said, yes, we want a fence there. And then the Keizer Community Dinner's on the 27th. Rotary Satellite Group is doing pulled pork sandwiches, so come and get some good sandwiches. I attended the SEDCOR awards ceremony, which was a really good thing. And on the 9th of September, I, along with Councilor Reed and City Manager Brown, went to the city of Mount Angel and was involved in a little service project for them where we spread 80 cubic yards of wood chips and another 35 yards of bark dust, and did significant work on the gazebo next to their city hall. We had about 210 people there for that, and I just want to thank them for their willingness to come and serve some of our neighboring communities.
Great. Thank you very much, and we wish you well in your recovery.
I feel good.
You feel good. Glad you could join us tonight. Councilor Hussman.
All right. Chief T, congratulations once again on your retirement. You are so far ahead of me. I'm just trying to catch up to Shane at this point. That's not even an ageism comment. That is not even in my sphere of influence right now.
Happens before you know it.
To that end, I do really appreciate you taking me in way back in January, February, talking through your philosophy with me, talking through how you've built the department and the successes that have occurred and what you do hope to carry on. I'm very optimistic for the future of the Keizer Police Department, and that groundwork has been laid by you, so all credit goes to you. Thank you so much. Parks Tour was awesome. Yeah, I'll fifth that. It was a really incredible experience getting to see everything up close and personal, especially things like Ben Miller Park, Bob Newton Park, which I hadn't necessarily gone out to since high school. But good to remind myself of what these spaces are and what they can become with a little bit of TLC. It was great stuff. This Wednesday, Northwest Keizer Neighborhood Association meeting, I called Dan as my partner for the 3-armed race. Anybody want to come out for that? Thursday is the TSBP meeting. Come one, come all, to talk about walking, rolling, driving, scootering, whatever your pleasure. And then I received a really unique opportunity this past Sunday. I got to attend the Oregon Black Pioneers 30th Anniversary Gala. And that was held out in Southeast Portland at the Red Center. The Oregon Black Pioneers are a group dedicated toward breaking down the barriers of access to Oregon's Black history, understanding people who've come through the region, educating, involving older Black Oregonians and telling their life stories, and helping to fill in some potential gaps in terms of the state of Oregon's history. It was a really wonderful event. Good lineup. Former Governor Ted Kulongoski was there. Former State Senator Margaret Carter, Oregon's first Black state senator, was there. Representative Janelle Bynum was there. Representative Travis Nelson, also in attendance. a quick shout out to Jordan Saldana of the Salem Art Association. She was there talking about the Salem Art Association's attempts, especially within the Bush's Pasture Park Art Museum, on connecting with Black art and telling some of the stories within Salem's Black community. She did a good job there. Keynote speaker on this was Mayor Denise McGriff of Oregon City. She is one of 3 Black mayors in the state out of about, what's the total count, 220 or so?
241 cities in Oregon.
241, there you go. So that's the percentage that we're working with. And she told a very strong story of courage in her convictions and how it was that she became an effective leader. It was a wonderful event for many reasons. Among them, I definitely remember being taught about the history of Oregon in school, how it came to be. And we definitely heard a lot of the story of Black Americans and how they came to be as a people on the continent. The stories of Black Americans were not necessarily told as often as I was growing up, and I don't necessarily think that was out of ignorance or antipathy. I think it was just out of the lack of opportunity and the lack of some of the resources to bring that history to life. That's something that Oregon Black Pioneers has worked very hard to build up to where they have traveling exhibits, people coming to schools, talking about these elements of Oregon history. And I absolutely came away thinking they've left the state in a better place for it all. So I was really grateful to have received the opportunity and represented Keizer as well in what small way I could. Shout out to the Black residents of Keizer. We see you. We appreciate you being a part of the fabric of our community. We cherish your contributions every day, just as we do for Carrie and Thais and the Hispanic Latino community. We appreciate the fabric we have here. Couldn't be Keizer without it.
Thank you very much. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to start out, my very favorite thing that I've done on City Council was to attend the Community Police Academy, and I was in the very first cohort of that, and I just love that concept of just educating our community as to the problem-oriented policing and just all the things that go into policing and just that relationship with the community. That is just one of many efforts that Chief Teague spearheaded, and I just really appreciate your leadership, and you've done such a fantastic job, and we've been so lucky to have you, and best of luck. Thank you. For the rest of my report, I attended the Community Diversity Engagement Committee, and then we also had an evening of opera. I went to that at the Keizer Homegrown Theater sponsored that. That was really lovely. I joined Councilor Kohler in service to Mount Angel. That was really a fun thing. Keizer Heritage Foundation met last week. And then we had a West Keizer Neighborhood Association featuring Chief Teague and Kevin Mannix. And we had some lovely cake and celebration and just another illustration of how valued you are in our community. So that was a fun night. Thank you. We have the Arts Commission tomorrow. And the League of Oregon Cities Women's Caucus finally has a meeting that I'm able to make, and so at least partially, so I'm looking forward to that on Thursday evening. And then last week I attended a football jamboree at Claggett Creek Middle School. My daughter is reffing for middle schools this year, and so I had to go watch her do her thing, even if it's weird because she's super old, and but it doesn't need her mom to go to her games.
That was recorded.
Well, I mean, in comparison with most football players that you would go to see, I'm going to see my daughter ref, so to clarify, but yes.
We're gonna have fun with that one.
Well, if she's super old, what does that make her mother? So.
Refs need love too. Referees need love.
Anyway, it was a fantastic showing in our community, and love to see those little guys running around. And sometimes playing football while they're running around. So that was a lot of fun. And yes, we have Band Day coming up this Saturday,
Yes.
which is a important feature of our community. They do this every year, and it's a big can drive. And apparently they get about a third of their operating expenses for the year from this one day. So you have lots of options. They're canvassing every single neighborhood in Keizer, so you can either just leave your cans in any bag on the front porches and they'll pick them up. Or you can bring them to McNary between 9 and 6 p.m. and there'll be a semi truck. You can't miss it. That'll be in the McNary parking lot. And so, yeah, they really appreciate any donations that they can get from that. So anyway, that is about all I have. Thank you.
All right, Youth Counselor Woodard.
All right, so a little McNary news. Oh, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Chief Teague, for creating a safe community for me and my peers to grow up in. I've lived here since 2010, and you've been the chief for most, if not all of it, and I'm happy to say no incidents. It's been great, safe for all my friends and community. All right, so we have a new principal and vice principal coming in at McNary, and I'd just like to thank the previous administration for 96.23% graduation rate, 53% enrollment in a CTE program, 50% of the students having a GPA higher than 3.0, and over 25 languages spoken throughout the school. In terms of,
Wow.
yeah. In terms of sports, I've been to all 3 of the McNary varsity football games so far. It's been a really fun time with peers, my friends, and just the students in general. Not the most competitive team, but we're there for the fun. It's okay. And
Character building.
yeah, character building. It's fun. We like to get the students together. And in terms of events, we have the College and Career Night, October 2nd at Chemeketa. And later this month, I'm going to a Keizer American Legion dinner, which is a really great program with a lot of the veterans in Keizer. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Great job. Just to bad little cleanup, I do have a question for Ms. Bissett. Is there not a commissioner's breakfast this month with Salem and Marion County Commissioners?
There will be one in October.
October. Yeah, I did too, because it was supposed to be every other month, so it's been moved to October. Okay. So I'll change that on my calendar. Good, I can sleep in Thursday morning, maybe a couple more minutes. Woohoo. Just a couple of things coming up. The Council of Governments Legislative Committee has been continuing to work even after the adjournment of the legislature, working toward, working with our local legislative delegation as well as our federal delegation. So we will be putting on a legislative breakfast on the 28th. Everybody here is invited. And hopefully if you can make it down for some of that, please do register so we can get an idea of how many folks are coming. But we do have representation from our state and federal delegation who will be there. They love getting all of us in one place. It's really efficient because you can have all those little mini meetings and meet up with everybody. And we also want to make sure that we continue to tell the story of the needs and the success of cities to our state and federal delegation. Second up is the Area Commission on Transportation is continuing to work on our 2-year work plan that has to be turned into the Oregon Transportation Commission, and we're getting ready to roll that out to the full area commission, so that will be coming up pretty soon. I'm on the steering committee for that. That's been helping put that together. It's been a very rewarding conversation as we're working across our 3 counties to put together a work plan that really addresses some of our regional needs and collaboration for the larger construction projects necessary for our transportation infrastructure. This last Saturday had a very special broadcast of Coffee with Kathy. Our special guest was DJ Vincent from Church at the Park. And if you'd like to see that program, it is now on KeizerTV.com, and it is also on my Facebook page. I encourage you to watch it. DJ was just brilliant talking about the work that he and our partners are doing for solving the needs of people in our community experiencing homelessness. Today, the young adult micro shelter community opened. It has space for 38 young adults that need to be in stable housing, and they will receive on-site services, security, and opportunities to move forward with their lives in a very constructive facility and programming that's specific to that age group. Congratulations to DJ Vincent. It's been a collaboration with many of our community partners in the region, and not only does it improve the lives of young people today, but it's prevention for chronic homelessness in the future. Fantastic work. Looking forward to partnering more. That afternoon, then I went to, speaking of helping serve our youth and young adults and reaching them where they're at, I was a guest at the Elder Chat at Punks in the Park.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I had a fantastic time. It was scheduled for 2 hours. I was there for 4. They had music, events. A lot of the social service organizations that serve our youth and young adults were there. The event premiered last year. This year, it was more than double what it was just in terms of service providers. This was at Marion Square Park, but the attendance was just huge. The place was packed. Ended up seeing a lot of friends I hadn't seen in a while, and connected with some of our young people, especially a big shout out to Backbone, which is our youth advisory board. Our youth advisory board for our homeless youth development program through HUD is a little bit different than youth advisory boards for programs across the nation. Gee, what a surprise. We do things differently. Of course we do. We've really continued to engage with Backbone. That's the name they gave themselves, by the way, because they have to have a backbone to live the lives that they are and to come out successful at the end. And really appreciate their strength and their resilience and being a part of working toward appropriate and successful means of providing services, support, shelter, and a future for youth and young adults. So thank you for inviting me to be part of it. It was epic. Had a great time. Coming up, we've got, okay, Commissioner's Breakfast comes off. We've covered a lot of things coming up. I do want to give one more shout out. This morning, I was able to be part of a conversation with Chemeketa Community College. Many of you may remember back in 2008, they did a bond measure. They did a lot of improvements and program additions to the Chemeketa campus, and they didn't just do it and walk away from it. They have continued to evolve. We, as a community, have continued to evolve in what Chemeketa does and is for not just education, but wraparound services for their students, for adapting to workforce needs, and so much more. So I encourage you, if you think you know Chemeketa and you haven't been there in a while, check out their website, or even better, go to their campus and check out that new Ag Center. It is public. They have a community market there on Wednesdays as part of their business program for agriculture, and they're doing so much more. The theater is reopening for more events at that theater on the campus, which is a really nice one. But they're doing a whole lot within all of the 7 campuses. So I encourage you to connect with our community college, which is truly part of our community. So with that, I will go to agenda input. Next Monday on the 25th, we will have a work session following up on the conversations we've been having on housing and homelessness. We have a great panel coming to talk with us, to give us an update on where we're at in our community, working with some of our key service providers such as the Union Gospel Mission and Community Action Agency. We'll also hear from Eric Razor from Soaring Heights, from Ben Crosby, works done locally here, which is our police and code enforcement do an amazing job with the interpersonal, dignified, and caring and compassionate way they meet the needs of people experiencing homelessness and networking for their care. We will also have Elaine Lozier, who is our brand new executive director for the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance, so you don't want to miss that. On October 2nd, we will meet in regular session. On October 9th, we are just, you are free to go. Those of us who are part of the Personnel Policy Committee, we have a meeting. The rest of you, please go down to Keizer Fire to the open house. On the 16th, we will meet in regular session, and then on the 23rd of October, we will have a work session on right-of-way and franchise. So we're going to be busy, but that's nothing new. All right, anything else for the good of the order?
I have a question.
Councilor Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So do we still have a work session on the 25th?
Yes, we do. That's next, yeah, that's next
Okay,
Monday.
so the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance.
Yeah, there'll be the Homeless Alliance, community action,
Okay.
et cetera.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. So
Yep.
Thank you. I just wanted to confirm.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Congratulations, Chief Teague. We wish you and your family the best. The time is 8:45. We are adjourned.